Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am Jerry Cooey.
I'm Deborah Nelson. Thanks for joining us.
And I look forward to, I have a small wager with Best Boy here, and I look forward to him paying.
I am not Best Boy, by the way. Best Boy is on the other side of the camera.
I look forward to Best Boy paying that wager. So
we'll reveal that wager to the audience in the coming weeks.
Right. We don't talk about a lot of sports on this show, but well, of course there is corruption in the NCAA.
Yeah.
But you know, the Alabama LSU game was recently, and it was a pretty good game. So for all you folks that enjoy college sports, I guess another, speaking of corruption in college sports, is we have looks like Joe Paterno will be leaving.
You know, I went to Penn State for 2 years, and one of those years was at the main campus. And let me tell you something. I was a sophomore when I was at the main campus, and those football players are, I mean, they're treated like emperors on that campus. It's mind-boggling. They have their own area that they live at. You know, they have the Taj Mahal dorms.
Caligula.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, basically. And you know, we had a couple of them at a couple of the soirees that I attended at a couple evenings when I was very young then, and they were just you know, it's like a thoroughbred animal. I mean, it's literally they're fed, they're housed, you know, they're pampered.
Somebody does their schoolwork for them.
That was rumored.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, folks, and I feel like, and I probably need to say this on every show, but where is ethics and morals anymore? You know, we talking about Penn State. Here's apparently two dozen people that knew a coach was abusing young children. And it was allowed to go on. We had a congressman in the state of Florida who apparently they knew what he was doing. He was messing with pages because he had been warned by the leadership of the party to stop it. But where is morals and ethics at anymore, folks? Well, you watch this show, it appears to me, and I think Deborah would probably agree with me, that we have a great number of organizations and a great number of people that they work day in and day out with the assistance of lawyers and consultants to figure out how to avoid ethical and moral decisions. You know, folks, I'd like for it to come back to a time where when little Johnny's at the grocery store and he hadn't learned his lesson about stealing yet, and he slips the candy bar in his pocket, and Mom pulls off a belt and wears him out right there in front of the grocery store. See, that's what we're missing today. I'll tell you personally, I received 3 good corporal punishments in my life. I got a good one for lying one time. Mm-hmm. A good one. Mm-hmm. I got a good one by Mr. Rhodes at elementary school for running down the hallway. I got a good one. Folks, I couldn't feel my rear end until I got home after the bus ride. And I got another good one in the 10th grade for being ugly in the classroom. Actually, me and 3 of my friends got a good one. But I'll tell you this, of those 3 events in my life, it didn't hurt my self-esteem. It helped my self-esteem. It helped me to clearly understand that there are ethical and moral boundaries. And there should be a code of ethics. And people should follow the code of ethics. Just as in my life, I learned some valuable lessons. Lying is wrong. Violating the rules to the detriment of the safety of my fellow students is wrong. Disrupting educational abilities of other fellow students was wrong. Those were lessons that apparently I needed to learn. What continues to shock me, and it is when people sit around and they know these activities are going on. Prime example, Bill Evans, our state attorney. He knows these activities are going on, but he gives a pass to elected officials. Event after event of just horrible sexual behavior by people that are known, that folks around them know it's going on, but they don't say anything. They don't stop it. Example after example that we see in the news today, folks. And I'm going to tell you, when it comes to elected officials, they need to even be at a higher standard. And what we continue to see, we'll just do whatever you want to.
Yeah.
And
there's an inverse relationship with money there. The more money that's involved, the lower the standards become.
Well, you know what, folks? I want you to help me. I can't fix the world by myself. I want you to help me on ethical and moral standards. And when you see a politician do or say something, for example, recently our good friend Yvonne Harper did a wonderful story in the Navarre Press. And it was concerning a land deal that occurred in South Santa Rosa County. And during her work on this story, she asked Commissioner Salter, did he have any knowledge that Vicks of Navarre, which is an LLC, did he have any knowledge of some land deals that had transpired in that area of the county? And he said he had no knowledge. Well, folks, we've got it on videotape at a Board of County Commission meetings where Commissioner Salter was expressly explained to him. There was meetings at Team Santa Rosa where it was talked about. Okay? Commissioner Salter is a liar. Okay? Let's call it like it is. Folks, I need you to help me join in with this. When you see somebody stealing, when you see somebody telling a lie, when you see somebody telling a half-truth, call them on it. Stand up. That's our biggest problem today, is allowing the scumbags in elected office to swim around in the gray area with no ethics and no morals.
Can I just mention that that's supposed to be the newspaper's job, and unfortunately that very seldom happens in this area.
We're starting to see.
Yeah, we are.
We're starting to see. Right? Look, I'll tip my hat. I've been critical of the Pensacola News-Journal at times, but they did a marvelous story on Forrest Gibbs. They have written one story on the debacle that is the Owens-Henderson, which we're going to talk about a little more in detail. The Navarre Press, as mentioned, just did the story on the very interesting looking land deal in South Santa Rosa County that involved a former state senator, Bill Pullum, and a fellow named McClary. And so we're starting to see some signs of it. But folks, we got to call it out every day. Our biggest problem, and let me tell you, if you've watched any of our shows, you know this, we have shown you the evidence of it. Our biggest problem today is the corruption that is involved in the money handling across the United States of America, and specifically in our county. The abuse of the grants, the abuse of the pay, the salaries that are unbelievably too high in comparison with the median income, benefits packages that are out of sight, on and on and on. It is corruption, folks, and it all goes back to their my father used to say that he'd point out somebody and he'd say, well, that person has they're about like an alley cat. They have the ethics of an alley cat. Well, an alley cat will run down anything you can. All right? And that's where we are today, folks. And we have to stand up. You, me, all of us. We have to stand up, and when somebody tells a bald-faced lie while the camera's rolling, get up out of your chair, walk down to the microphone and say, you're a liar. Okay? If somebody's a liar, then it's okay to call them a liar when you have the proof. And let me say this again. Commissioner Don Salter is a liar. Plain and simple.
Maybe he has amnesia.
Yeah, well, he has a lot of things, but unbelievable. let's since we mentioned Owen Henderson,
Yeah.
let's go ahead. Let me give a little background on that. The Public Defender's Office is handled very much like just like the state attorney's office, in that they represent several counties. It's their job to represent people who don't have
enough money for a lawyer.
Right? And it's an elected position, and that person operates that office, and the employees at the whatever the elected official wants to do, then he sets it up. The representative for the Public Defender's Office had been a fellow named Mr. Jack Bear, and he had been there for many years. I don't know, I think it was 28 or 32 years, something like that. So in 2008, we've had an election, and Mr. Owens ran as a Republican.
Yeah, James Owens.
James Owens. Tony Henderson ran as a Democrat, and then there was, I don't know, there were a couple other people in there.
We should mention that because Henderson ran as a Democrat and there were no other Democrats, he was guaranteed to have been in the finals, the general election.
Right.
He wouldn't have been kicked out in the primary. Some people believe that maybe he didn't run as a Republican because that guaranteed if Owens lost to Kelly Richards, who was his Republican challenger in the primaries, then Henderson would still have another chance to get in there in the general election. And they were very good friends.
Right.
Were lifelong friends. Get in there and maybe
exactly
get a good situation for everybody.
So here we are. The campaign is over, and they won.
Owens won.
Owens won.
Yeah.
And then what Mr. Owens did was he turned around and he hired Mr. Henderson as his #1 employee, which is his right to do.
And some people wondered if perhaps Henderson had won, he wouldn't have hired Owens as #1.
Exactly. So now we have a series of questionable acts that are coming forward. So go ahead.
Well, there were some questions before they got into office. There was a lawsuit by a woman who's now dead, who died in a police shootout. The police say that she shot her husband and then herself. I guess there were no witnesses to corroborate that. But anyway, she had accused them of taking her back to one of them apartment together.
Her accusation was that Mr. Owens had raped her, and then Mr. Henderson gave her a ride home, and then he raped her.
Right.
And interestingly enough, folks, your current state attorney was in private practice at the time. Mr. Bill Edens represented these two fellas in this. And apparently there was what appeared to be there was a settlement of some sort.
It's sealed, of course.
A sealed settlement, and I want to reiterate what Deborah said. I'm not too much of a conspiracy theorist, but here is a person who has a great deal of information about several people.
Yeah.
Who all of a sudden winds up in a shootout with the police.
And shoots her husband and then herself?
And she killed her husband, and then she killed herself.
Right.
Those are the facts. The latest allegation that has come up is that there was a person who was charged with a crime, and apparently Mr. Henderson had made some overtures of, I can make this go away. Allegedly.
I don't know one way or another.
I can make this go away should you decide to do a few things for me.
Right.
And this person apparently, made it known to a bail bondsman, and so it's being looked at now.
Right.
But
there are reports that that's a pattern of accusations against Mr. Henderson.
There's always, I do have to say that I think something that we've all heard our parents say: when there's that much smoke, There's got to be some fire somewhere, and it concerns me. I tell you what concerns me the most, folks, is Mr. James Owens is the elected official in that office, and this allegation has been made. And Mr. Owens will not speak to the press. He will not say if Mr. Henderson is on administrative paid leave, or if he's at home with no pay. No comments to the refuses to make. He's hiding out from the and look, I don't know what happened there. What I do know is that an elected official has an obligation to the citizens he serves to make a public statement. And I'm fine if he wants to walk out there and say, I'm in full defense of my friend Mr. Henderson, and he's going to continue to do his job. Whatever decision he wants to make, I'm fine with that. But he needs to share it with the citizens that elected him. I have a real problem with that portion of the program. I just think that's kind of ridiculous.
Well, I'll tell you what I think is ridiculous is the fact that everybody I know, and you know, I know a lot of people in Escambia, city of Pensacola. Everybody I know in very different kinds of groups down there knew about this before the 2008 election, and yet not a word of it appeared in the Pensacola News Journal,
Right.
Channel 3 News, any of the local media. I saw there was nothing.
I understand the 80 or 90 page report was given to the Pensacola News Journal.
It was given to them. It was common knowledge. Right. Everybody knew about it, and they didn't bother to report on it. And this guy was elected.
Now I am glad to see that the issue's being raised up again. And if there is a problem there, then I think action needs to be taken.
Here's my suspicion, just from having covered this stuff for 6 years and having
somebody wants that job.
Having been an avid Pensacola News Journal reader for quite some time, somebody wants the job. Somebody with more pull, somebody more important than Mr. Owens or Mr. Henderson wants those jobs.
Right.
They pay quite a bit of money, and I think they're being booted out. And now the News Journal's all of a sudden decided to report on this, and you know, there's responsible coverage all of a sudden. It's a little bit late. It's about 4 years too late.
Exactly.
You know.
Exactly. All right. Well, let's and once again, folks, morals, ethics. Let's call it like we see it. You know, obviously, this situation needs to be investigated by independent third party. It does not need to be investigated by somebody who lives 5 minutes from the public defender's office. It should be matter of fact, they ought to go to Alabama and find somebody to investigate this one. To me, the allegations that are out there are clearly horrendous and need to be.
Well, now you remember what the what the state attorney found on Team Santa Rosa. They broke the law, but they didn't. Mean to. So maybe something, I don't know.
Yeah.
We could see something similar.
Well, you know, since Bill Eddins rushed to the defense of Owens and Henderson while he was in private practice, maybe he can rush in and defend them again.
Well, now he's got some insight. We know then into their motives and their
he has a clear understanding of how they operate.
He knows how their minds work, so he'll know if they've meant to do it or not.
Well, look, it's a sad situation, and you know, I hope to goodness that the state,
if indeed he finds him guilty, which we don't know yet.
I hope to goodness that the state attorney's office is not going to be the lead investigator on this.
That would be disappointing.
To say the least. That's kind of, you know, you might as well investigate yourself.
Yeah.
I wonder how that's going to come out if you investigate yourself.
Why don't we take this opportunity to remind our viewers and perhaps any registered attorneys out there that
that's true.
Still time to register to run against Bill.
Folks,
Bill
you have plenty of time to register and mount a campaign against Bill Eddins. I want to tell you ahead of time, and I have made this promise before. And when I tell folks I'm going to do something, you mark it down. Okay. On January the 2nd of 2012, there will be a sign in the back of my pickup truck. And for those of you who know me, I have spent days. A sign in the back of my truck helped to defeat 2 tax initiatives in Santa Rosa County. Okay? I will live in the middle of Highway 90 and Highway 98 until Bill Edens is defeated, and that sign will say Edens must go. Okay? So for any attorney that's out there that wants to run for the state attorney position, just so you will know, you will have a built-in anti-Bill Edens campaign person working. Every time I have a little spare time in the morning and the afternoon, I'll wave at 30, 40,000 cars a day, because I mean to get rid of Bill Edens. So just keep that in mind. Santa Rosa Week TV, I tell you what, Deborah, if Beelzebub came to me and said, I'm considering running for the state attorney's office, I'd help.
Yeah.
I'd help. The devil himself would be better than what we have down there right now. Absolutely ridiculous.
It's been an unimpressive run.
Unimpressive, to say the least. Well, just don't investigate anything.
Right.
Don't give people hope and tell them that we're investigating something.
Go after the guy that has a smidgen of marijuana in his pocket. By all means, throw him into the county subsidized jails.
Right.
You know, waste my time and money.
Right. But elected officials
who
let millions of dollars go through their fingers,
they didn't mean to do it.
No, well, they didn't mean to do it.
It was inadvertent.
You know, I'll tell you this. I'll make another promise to the current holder of the state attorney's office. I'm going to wear him out with that statement that came out of his office. They didn't mean to do it.
Nobody ran against him last time.
Somebody's going to run against him. Come on, lawyers. Come on, lawyers. Get off the couch. It's a good paying job, and you got some good staff members down there. And just remember, Jerry Cooey's going to be out there. I won't be campaigning for you, but I'm going to be campaigning against a man that holds that job right now.
And I'm just going to mention that I have it from a very good source that you're familiar with, that the Bar Association can hold some sway as far as dissuading or encouraging people to run for that.
Well,
I just want to say that our email address is posted at the end of this, and anybody out there who has any information or tips on how the Bar Association may be involved influencing that, we would be more than happy to hear an anonymous get anonymous information. Of course, we treat all our sources. We honor all. You
will be protected at Santa Rosa Week TV. We'd like to know why it is that it always gets to be a hand-picked person who looks the other way when crime is crime. I view it like this. Maybe I could get a cartoonist to do it. It's the waves of crime slapping up against the state attorney's office in Pensacola, and they don't see it.
Right.
It's eroding the foundations over there.
Yeah, it has eroded them. That's the amount of money that goes down the corruption toilet in this region is destructive.
Unbelievable.
It's destructive.
Okay, next topic, folks. It's already occurred in the south end of the county, South Santa Rosa County, from Yellow River south. Where franchise basically has been given to garbage companies.
Single garbage companies.
Garbage companies. The south end of the county was split, 2 different companies, one Waste Management, and I can't recall the other one. But anyhow, the entire south of the county is being serviced by only 2 garbage providers. State law and the way this works, and it's already been stated at the Board of County Commission meetings, there is a clock that they work off of, and so from the Yellow River north, which is the north half of the county, the clock is already ticking, and so the wishes of the Board of County Commissioners is to give to a single or maybe 2, according to how it looks out. But and it may not be a trash provider you wish to do business with, but you're not going to have a choice. So we're telling you ahead of time, and we're going to remind you from time to time. It's a 3-year window. The clock has been ticking about 2 months already. It will continue to go, and You know, there'll be periodic discussions on it, but just want to let you know that that's going to happen.
Well, we see how well the Gulf Power semi-monopoly franchise has paid off for customers.
Right. Finally, we want to give a salute to all of our veterans. We have Veterans Day coming up, and I know that you know, the organization that I bleed for, the Milton High School Marching Band, they'll be participating in a parade. The Pace High Band will be participating in a parade, and they'll wind up at the Veterans Memorial Plaza in the river at the city of Milton. And look, folks, I don't feel like I can catch it in adequate words, the importance of the veterans that have fought and died, so that Deborah and I can sit here and babble about issues in the county, in the state, and in the nation. It is a precious, precious right that gets defended day in and day out by the brave men and women of our military services. You know, I wish I could say more. Quite honestly, I wish our government would do more for you. I think it's shameful in a lot of ways that we expect our brave soldiers to go overseas and fight and die, and then when they get back home, we hassle them over health care.
Well, that's the problem. Is they send them off to these foreign adventures, and they've got a certain number of casualties programmed in. You know, they've got the PowerPoint presentation and the spreadsheets, and now modern medical science is saving more lives than they had planned for, and they don't want to. You know, we can give Halliburton lots of money. You know, we can give the defense contractors all the money they want, but when it comes to expanding the healthcare services, you know, there's just no money left.
Well, in closing, folks, thank a veteran. When you see somebody in uniform, go over, shake their hand, tell them you appreciate what they do for you, and by all means get out and celebrate Veterans Day and let a veteran that you know that you appreciate them. I'm Jerry Cooey.
I'm Deborah Nelson. Thanks for joining us. Good night.